You know, my father has a saying, no one can prove you're an idiot until you open your mouth and confirm their suspicions. What I'm about to talk about today is proof positive that we don't need any more idiots in either party. Now, if you still believe that America can be won by an election and that a third party can't win, or that we, don't need to consider it, it's already happening. It's already happening. Now, you can call that third party independents. You can call them democratic socialists. You can call them socialists. But what is happening right now is not indicative in any manner of the trends that Washington, D.C. elected officials are following. Now, people try to sound intelligent instead of actually being intelligent. Let me give you an example. I'm on it wasn't a podcast, it was some news thing where it was predicted that a Democratic socialist in Washington, D.C. was about to win the mayoral race. Her name is Janice Lewis George. Okay, so in the comments section, I'm reading things. And this is mostly by people that live in the DMV and mostly black people. And I saw comments like Khrushchev said that America was going to be destroyed from within. There go our jobs. There go this. There goes that. America doesn't need socialism. So I struck back, and of course I got a whole bunch of ration of shit. And I need people to understand something, or I don't need them to. At this point, I don't give a fuck. Because the Democratic Socialists of America are highly organized. I am not a member of this organization. I have been a staunch, full-blooded, clean socialist since the 1990s. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. As a socialist, when socialism was not popular. That people who have failed to educate themselves on the system of American government that was designed to work in exactly the way it is right now. Black people and Latino people and Native American people are still buying into this rhetoric. And not one of them has ever given me a definition of socialism that comes out of text. Not a one. What they do is they listen to corporate Democrats and Republicans, and they sum up all of their votes, where they spend their money, and how they think based on the random acts of stupidity of both parties. And then they try to make sense out of nonsense. And then make democratic socialism the enemy. Let me tell you something about socialism and the true meaning of it. The first socialists in the United States of America were the Native American tribes. What socialism is acceptance, familiarity, sharing, and distribution of wealth. Now that term socialist got kidnapped by the USSR, which is what people usually equate it to, because they are too stupid to crack open a fucking book to look up the history of people like Bernie Sanders and AOC and the very definition of socialism. But I digress. That started with Native America. What they're calling Antifa right now was nothing but socialism. Before black people decided that they were going to kowtow to white people, AIPAC and Israel, and make that their identity. And white people came from England to steal land. Socialism was the order of the day. If you worked a little bit, if you were 8 to 80, you got to eat. That's socialism. You got whatever health care they had at the time. That was socialism. You didn't do without. You didn't have to worry about somebody taking care of you when you were sick. You didn't have to be left alone to die alone. You didn't have to be shot in the street after the arrival of the white invaders. And have no retribution for their actions. You had people that took care of you. And in every culture, since the beginning of time, you had people that were attracted to same sex. You had women whose husbands died in battle, who were single mothers. You had people who were kidnapped from one place and brought to another and then demonized by people who came from England and then Ireland and then Holland and every other place. But yet they're the problem. And for black people in America, they do not understand why they continue to fail. And the reason they continue to fail is because they believe in the colonizers. You see, Native Americans never believed in the colonizers. Some of them, but not many, adapted to get by. Some of them adapted because they liked money. But the vast majority did not. The vast majority of black America held on to the slave mentality. And they always will be the sharecropper and never understand that. Never understand it. There is no fucking way a Hakeem Jeffries or a Cory Booker in 2030 United States of America is going to be allowed to exist the way things are going. But they think they are. People like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they're going to be fine because they're white. But you have, right now, in the United States Senate and the House of Representatives, through 2 different Holocausts, American slavery and the Holocaust. Under Adolf Hitler. Working harmoniously for the Holocaust of every single solitary American who is not a millionaire in the United States right now as we speak. And what are you doing? You're misinterpreting the socialist agenda. Now, when I read this story about Janice Lou's George, she's a Democratic Socialist of America member. Now, Donald Trump is saying that he's going to federalize Washington, D.C. if she is elected. Let me make something clear. The rest of you can sit here and say that America doesn't need socialism. You can be white, you can be black, you can be stupid, you can be ignorant, but you are not all of us. You are not starving. You are not hungry enough. You are not mad enough. You're not educated enough. You are not anything enough to make that judgment for us. You need, if you don't understand what socialism is, you need to find someplace else to go. Because I'll tell you something right now. Right now. The Democratic Socialist Party is not a third party. Nor are they going to convert Democrats in Congress and Senate to being socialists. The Democratic Socialist Party is the future of America, whether you like it or not. Now, I don't care if you're black and you need to get on a slate and you need to support some white man like Steny Hoyer and elect Bawafo to the state of Maryland. You can do that. That's fine. But what you're going to find out is that you fucked around. And we're not going to be there to take care of you when you do. We are not going to be there to pick up the pieces of another Democratic Party election mess. And not only that, the Democratic Party in 2028, as it stands right now, there is going to be no blue wave. You are not blue anymore. From Generation X until Generation Now, this party belongs to us. And in 2028, somebody that speaks the same way as the AOC, or a Hassan Piker, or a Kyle Kalinske, is going to be the next president. Not a Hakeem Jeffries, not a Wes Moore, not a Cory Booker, and by no stretch of the imagination, a Gavin Newsom. We know who you are, and we are done with you. And let me say this too. Corporate Democrats have absolutely no room, none, to criticize young Democratic Socialists. And the reason being is time and time and time again, you have manipulated black voters into voting for your party because you promised them certain things. And that goes all the way from Nancy Pelosi up to Barack Obama. Now, I'm not anti-Obama, but I do believe he failed in many ways. And so did Joe Biden. And I'm not going to apologize for that. But the greatest nemesis in this historical clusterfuck is Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats who supported her, and Merrick Garland fucking up a silver platter served to them by the American people on how to keep what we are going through from happening. And she did it for a reason. She did it because socialism is what the Democratic Party claims they stand for, but they won't use that word. They tell you that they want health care for all. They want everybody to have a retirement. They want everybody to be free. They want the Constitution to be adhered to, but not fucking one of them adhered to the United States Constitution when they had an opportunity to stop Donald Trump. And now they sit here and talk about Hassan Piker and people like him. And I have something to say to Donald Trump. You want to make a joke about Muslims? Praise be to Allah for Hassan Piker, motherfucker. Because I tell you what, for every Hassan Piker out there, there's about 20 or 30,000 of us willing to support him. And for every Nancy Pelosi and Clarence Thomas, Cory Booker, and Hakeem Jeffries, we're going to produce enough socialist candidates to get you out of office. And enough of us are fed up with you, we're disgusted by you, and all you are is MAGA light. That's all you are. And not only that, you manipulated us over all this time, treated us like 20 and 21st century sharecroppers, and gave us crumbs while you sat there and got rich in Congress and insider trading and placating to PACs. That's what you did. And still dumbass black voters still keep voting for you. But let me tell you something. Your time is limited. Black people are not going to keep voting for this bullshit. There's a difference also between Democrats and Democratic Socialists. Democratic Socialists have a plan, and they implement that plan. Democrats promote concepts of a plan and then vote Republican, middle of the aisle, to get rid of your health care and your Social Security, which you're not paying attention to because you're too uneducated and you're too distracted. This is what they do, and this is what you accept. So you can't blame white people for thinking that people of color are inferior when people of color are willing to accept anything that is given to them and defend it. Because they don't want to lose what poverty they have. This is how low you have come. Black people of the era of the civil rights movement no longer exist in our movement. You are comfortable with crumbs. And you are so comfortable with your crumbs that you don't even realize that on January 1st, 2027, all of your crumbs are going to disappear. You will be left destitute. Because when Nancy Pelosi and Merrick Garland had the chance to change the trajectory of the United States of America, they did not. Why? Because they are white and you are not. They were making money and you are not. And this is what you will settle for. This is what you will vote for. And this is what you will deserve. A potluck of ineptitude from two parties. This is what you have going. Now, while you're doing that, in a majority black area, I see an ever-growing number of white people living in the woods. Why? Because they didn't listen to people like Michael Moore, Paul Lance, Hassan Piker, Kyle Kulinski, and me. And they did not get prepared for this moment. So they're out on their asses, and they probably voted for Donald Trump, for all I know. Who owns the Democratic Party dictates how you live. And right now, it's APAC, AI. It's going to be pretty soon across the board, I'm sure. It's going to be people that run data centers. It's already Elon Musk. It's already CBS and CNN and all this stuff. But that's okay. Because here's what's going to happen. Either people are going to run for the exits, or they're going to sit down for the slaughter. Let me remind you that every institution in the United States right now has been gutted by Doge. When you hear of the trillions of dollars that the United States of America and Donald Trump are spending on this war and that thing and that thing and that thing, think about what might be in the Treasury, who has access to it, and what is left. Obviously, when they talk every year, but you're not educated about this, you just think it's a government shutdown. And raising the spending limit. Raising the spending limit does not mean we can spend more on dollars we already have banked. It means we're going to borrow more. We are trillions of dollars in debt. And you're going to pay that. And you know how you're going to pay it? You're going to pay it through lack of health care. You're going to pay it through the absence of cancer research. You're going to pay it through the next pandemic, where you don't have any supplies to protect yourself like you did during COVID. You're going to pay it through the high price of food. You're going to pay it because you have to quit your job, because you can no longer afford gas to go to work. You're going to pay it when you lose your house. You're going to pay it when your 3 household income is evicted because they're 3 months late. The status quo is not changing, but your circumstances are. The same rules that apply for housing, taxes, and everything else haven't changed. What you have to do to stay alive has not changed. But it does not match what you have to combat the situation. So you have two choices on the trajectory that the United States of America is on right now. You can hope to die and die, or you can fight your ass off. And I don't mean fighting in the way you think, waiting for an election, doom scrolling. That's not what I'm talking about. As your constitutional rights are being violated on a daily basis, it's only going to be escalated. There has to come a time in a human being, not an American, not a law-abiding citizen, not a black person, not a white person, where the only thing that matters to you is the preservation of your family, putting food in your mouth, surviving for the next day. At some point, that has to matter. If you are any type of human being, you have to care about yourself. Don't pretend to care about me or other people or disabled people or immigrants. Care about your fucking self first. We didn't ask you to do this hippie movement and go to jail. We asked you to partner with us. But right now, we're at a point where we don't have the luxury you do to sit around and wait for an election. We don't get to be white, and we don't get to conform when you fail. We don't get to survive when you fail. When you fail this fucking American experiment, we're going to be exterminated. So do us a huge fucking favor. Lead, follow, or get the fuck out of our way. Now you have an opportunity to prove yourself. If you're too weak to attempt at this, please stay at home. If you don't have the money for this, we understand. But in my estimation, approximately, we do have support from, I've been hearing things. There are 340 million Americans living in the United States of America. If 1 million black people ran toward an exit in the back of a movie theater, not one person is going to sit there and question why. They're just going to run too, because they don't want to be the target. Now imagine if you're white, Asian, or any other race in the United States of America, and you saw 100 million people running to Washington, D.C., and you didn't know why. Would you run? Or would you run away like a fucking idiot? Me? I would run. Because I don't want to be the one caught in the crosshairs, shot in the back. So here's what you need to do. On June 28th, for 7 days in Washington, D.C., all people are coming together for something different than 50-51 and the No Kings March. That shit is doing nothing. It has had zero impact, except to make a bunch of, like Paul Land said, a bunch of white people feel good about getting out. This is something different. This is organizing. This is speeches. This is, and you have to be there to get, there is no agenda. There is no, I'm going to be here and I'm going to be there. Just get your fucking ass to Washington, D.C. Because I tell you what, the American people are running toward revolution. The rest of you need to be left behind. Because there is no dead weight at this demonstration. Once again, June 28th starts 7 days in D.C. You need to be there. This is the Woke Socialist Podcast. Good day and good luck.